Ever had that light bulb moment, that brilliant idea, and just wondered, hey, how can I actually own this? Well, today we're going to crack open the Creator's Toolkit and show you exactly how that works.
You know, it's pretty simple to think about owning a car, right? Or a house. But how do you own a thought? A line of code that could change everything, a melody that everybody gets stuck in their head, an invention that feels like pure magic. That's the huge challenge that intellectual property law is designed to solve.
So what is this stuff really? Intellectual property, or IP for short, is the legal umbrella that covers all those creations of the mind. We're talking about the apps on your phone, the movies you binge watch, the music that's the soundtrack to your life. IP is basically the legal magic that turns those amazing ideas into actual valuable assets. And get this isn't some newfangled idea. The concept is so foundational, it's literally written into the US Constitution. You see, the framers understood something really simple but really important. If you want people to innovate and create cool stuff, you have to give them a way to protect and benefit from their own genius.
All right, so here's the plan for the next few minutes. We're going to walk through the different tools for protecting your brand and your creations. We'll also take a look at what happens when someone breaks the rules, and maybe most importantly, why all of this even matters to begin with.
Okay, first step in our toolkit, protecting your identity. I mean, in a world where everyone's shouting, how do you make sure people recognize your voice? That's where our first tool, the trademark, comes in.
So, a trademark, it can be a logo, a name, even a slogan. Really, it's anything that tells you where a product came from. And the whole point, and this goes way back in common law and was really locked in by the Lanham Act of 1946, is to stop you, the customer, from getting confused. You see the swoosh, you know it's Nike. You see the golden arches, you know it's McDonald's. Simple as that. No confusion.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Not all trademarks are built the same. Their legal power, their strength, really depends on where they land on this spectrum of distinctiveness. The more unique it is, the stronger its legal shield.
So at the top, the absolute strongest, you've got fanciful marks. Think Xerox. It's a totally made-up word. Next down are arbitrary marks, like Apple for computers. It's a real word, but it has nothing to do with the product. Then you have suggestive marks, like Dairy Queen, which kind of hints at what they sell. But you got to be careful not to become generic. You can't trademark the word computer for a computer company. And here's the cautionary tale. Brands like aspirin and trampoline, they used to be protected trademarks, but they got so popular the names just became the everyday word for the product, and poof, they lost that special protection.
But what if your mark isn't some made-up word? What if it's just, say, a color scheme? Well, you can still get protection if you can prove something called secondary meaning. Basically, it's when people see that thing and they only think of your brand. A perfect example is FedEx. They actually won a lawsuit by arguing that their purple and orange design was so recognizable that a competitor using a similar look was just causing confusion.
And this whole idea of a mark is super flexible. A service mark isn't for a product, it's for a service, like the experience you get at a McDonald's restaurant. Then you've got a certification mark, which is more like a stamp of approval. The Good Housekeeping seal, for instance, isn't selling you anything directly. It's just telling you that someone else's product meets a certain standard.
And you know, protection can go even bigger than just the logo. It can cover the whole look and feel of a product. We call this trade dress. Just imagine the unique vibe of your favorite restaurant. The decor, the menu design, everything. If another place copied it so perfectly that it tricked customers, well, that could be a trade dress violation.
All right, so we've covered protecting your brand. Now let's switch gears and talk about protecting the actual thing you made, your invention, your song, your masterpiece. And for that, we need two totally different tools, patents and copyrights.
So if you invent something truly new and useful, a patent gives you a pretty serious monopoly. For a full 20 years from the day you file, you and only you get to make, use, and sell that invention. And hey, it's not just about how things work. If you come up with a really unique design for something, a design patent can protect that look for 14 years.
But there are some ground rules. You can patent a new kind of machine, sure, but you can't patent gravity or just an abstract idea. And here's the big trade-off, the deal that inventors make with society. Once your monopoly is up, your invention enters the public domain. That means anyone can use it, build on it, and improve it. And that's how we all keep innovating.
Now, for all the artists and creators out there, we have copyright. And here's the key thing to get. It protects the specific expression of an idea, not the idea itself. So it covers the exact words in your book, the melody in your song, or the code in your app. You can't copyright the general idea of a school for wizards, but you can absolutely copyright your specific, one-of-a-kind story about one.
Okay, so these protections all sound pretty great in theory. But what happens when somebody just ignores the rules?
Well, that's what we call infringement, and it's basically the legal term for IP theft. When it comes to trademarks, the #1 question is always this: does the unauthorized use create a likelihood of confusion? Is an ordinary person going to be fooled into thinking they're buying the real deal when they're not?
And for really famous brands, there's this extra layer of protection against something called dilution. This is when someone uses a similar name and it just tarnishes or weakens the famous brand's reputation, even if they're not direct competitors. Like, imagine someone started selling cheap, greasy pizza under the brand name Rolex. Nobody's going to think they're buying a watch, right? But it would definitely hurt the luxury vibe of the real Rolex.
And then you get into the really dangerous territory of counterfeit goods, knockoffs. And this is way bigger than just some fake handbags. This can be deadly. We're talking about fake medicines that have no active ingredients or sketchy car parts that could fail at 70 miles an hour. It is a huge problem. I mean, authorities seize millions of dollars worth of this stuff at just one event, like the Super Bowl.
So we've looked at the tools, we've looked at what happens when things go wrong. But let's zoom out for a second. Why does any of this really truly matter?
This right here is how an idea becomes a business. It's called licensing. The person who owns the IP, the licensor, can give permission to someone else, the licensee, to use their creation, usually for a fee. It's how your favorite superhero ends up on a lunchbox. It's how that app on your phone even exists. This is literally the engine that powers the whole creative economy.
So when you boil it all down, these tools, trademarks, patents, copyrights, there's so much more than just legal paperwork. They are the bedrock of innovation. By protecting the value of a new idea, we give people the incentive to spend their time and money inventing, creating, and dreaming up what's next. It's the system that fuels progress itself.
But these rules, some of them written hundreds of years ago, are now facing their biggest test ever. Technology is just moving at an unbelievable speed, which leaves all of us with a huge question. In a world of AI-generated art and content that can be copied infinitely, what is owning an idea even going to mean in the future?